You're in here already, all ready to go. Oh, little fuzzy brain. Little fuzzy brain cat. Oh, you're so scratchy. You're so scratchy. Yes, you are. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Houston with Problem. It's Friday. Getting ready for the weekend. What's going off? What's happening, cat? Yeah, just in the purr city. Just loving life. That's good. He's lost a pound. All right, that's big. That's like, you know, what, 8% of your body weight, buddy? Not so bad. Well, camera is not focused properly. There we go. And this one needs to go over, y'all. There we go. I put in there. I forgot what I put in the description because it was like 3 hours ago. Oh yeah. Beyond is creating Beyond Baby. So they're going to be entering the infant baby care market. Bed Bath & Beyond posted some filings that showed that perhaps the float or the total issued shares is around 117 million, which, if there happens to be a cash payout, that would be a lot of moolah for everybody. I can't remember what else I was supposed to talk about today. I've been working on the car all day, and I got like bloody knuckles and just took a shower. So I'm like, get wet head again. Wet head. So how about bing? Wait, did that not do it? That one. Kitty, my throat is so scratchy still. It is. Oh yeah, off. Whew. No, I made that mistake again. I'll make it like 150 more times next year. See how we got with dude with Nub. Not first? Oh, but you are first. J-Dog, happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Philip Clayton, Houston. Thoughts on Acme reverse split? Could they be doing this to reduce the float to 3 odd million? Get them to short it to oblivion as they do again and then go private as per your plan? I don't trust it. I don't have faith or trust in it. I think it's a terrible idea. Maybe West Christian. I don't know if they still have West Christian hired, but maybe he's like, this is the plan, and we can go along with it, and something's going to happen. But if you go back in history, reverse splits just allow shorts to short it all over again, and it doesn't work out for anybody. Perhaps a company can raise more capital by selling more shares again, but it doesn't work out for the shareholders. I mean, the shorts will hammer the price down to like a penny. So if you do the reverse split, you're right back at $1 again. And then, so it's just such a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. It's so bad. It's so dumb. There are better ways to get value for the company, screw over the shorts impressively, and be done, right? So I don't like it. As I'm going to say right now, I don't like it. B-Ball 3710. Joe Biden can barely complete sentences. Are Dems going to run it back, hoping Trump goes to jail? Polling suggests Trump over Biden. I mean, I think Trump's going to get convicted. Biden said if Trump wasn't running, I probably wouldn't run. Biden just wants to be president. That's what he wants to be. It was his dream for 40 years, 50 years, and he did it. And now he's going to get his 2 terms, and that's what his legacy is going to be. But I hope we get some Dark Brandon back again, because he was doing some kick-ass things that one summer. And then all of a sudden he hired a Goldman Sachs guy to be his chief of staff, and no more kick-ass things have been happening. Don't hire Goldman Sachs people to be your chief of staff, because then you're going to get Goldman Sachs crap. And don't do that. I do think the Dems are counting on Trump going to jail or going to prison. And I do think he is going to go to prison. He's got 40 plus co-conspirators who are turning state's evidence against him. And he's on tape committing crimes. He's on video committing crimes. He's signing papers committing crimes. He's got his co-conspirators who are like, yeah, he told me to commit crimes and I committed crimes for him. And he did some crimes too. So I think he gets convicted. And there's about 30 states that have laws that if someone is actively serving time on a felony, they get booted from the ballot. So if you're going to lose 30 states right off the bat, if you get convicted because they can't vote for you, well, what are you going to do? And then the rest of the states, if he gets convicted in the DC case, he'll get automatically removed from every state ballot because of the 14th Amendment. So I think that's what everyone's going for, or counting on at this point. But yeah, I don't want. My dad is 87 years old. He is lovely. He's smart. He's with it. He's very active for someone who's 87 years old. At the same time, he's like, I'm too tired to be president of the United States. Why would I want to do that? He's way more in touch with technology, trends, what's going on. Like, he's way more in touch than Biden is, I think, on a lot of those things, and more active. But like, we need fresh blood in this country. And I don't understand why we have a system that's set up to like elect the oldest people we possibly can. They're tired. They're old. They have no clue what's going on in the modern economy and technology. It's just, why is that our choices? Why is the system set up to make that our choices? Barack Obama was pretty young when he was elected, which is, we hadn't had someone that young since Jack Kennedy. And things were much more dynamic. Like, felt like stuff was getting accomplished and whatnot. I want that again. And people are sending me messages. Are you serious? Sending me booties. People sending me big butts. Okay. All right. Jigga Shukla, what's the latest on No Labs? Nothing big came out. I got an email from them saying that they're going to be at a scientific conference in March, revealing abstracts for a couple of papers. So they'll be talking about that. My guess is, like, if they're going to these conferences, they're going to these conferences to be like, we did some cool shit. Look at what we did. Aren't you impressed? And that's the basis for the cool science they're doing. So I can't remember the dates on that. I can look perhaps in ye old Gmail and see what we got here. Boom. Come on, son. There we go. New Labs. Unless I deleted it. This one? Nope, that's an email from somebody about No Labs reports fourth quarter fiscal results. Is that the one? No, that's not the one announcing. Maybe I deleted it. Am I a fool? Am I deleted it? Crud. Trash? Is it still in the trash? Can I go No Labs? Yep, it's gone. Shit. I can't remember what the conference was. There was a conference coming up in March, I believe, and there you have it. That's the latest. That's all we got. William Jones maybe talk it up for April on the anniversary of the 1970 event. Oh, sorry, I missed your other one. Sorry. William Jones, Houston, perhaps you would agree. An episode where we watched the YouTube recording of Apollo 13. Houston, we got a problem with your commentary and chat interaction. I'll have to figure out how to do that and not get sued for doing that. How do people do the commentary videos and not get like sued to oblivion by Disney or whatever? Because the one time I watched and did a commentary one time on the trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie, and I got a huge copyright strike, and YouTube was pissed at me. So I don't know. I'm scared to do things like that. might take my YouTube channel away from me. I don't know how people do it and not get in trouble. William, and maybe talk it up for April on the anniversary of the 1970 event. All right. If I can figure this out, perhaps we can do that. Thanks for being a reasonable host and not killing us with unnecessary cursing tirades I see in some other channels. Well, sometimes people get me on tirades, but I haven't had a good rant in a while. I mean, I've had some mini rants, but I haven't had a real good rant in a while. And in my experience, the use of profanity in order to sound important just emphasize the lack of intelligence or lack of substance. Other points being prepared along with them. I do cuss. I cuss from time to time. I try not to, but I still cuss like a sailor. Yeah. I said, what the fuck do I know? B-Ball 3710. Schumer said if next round of aid doesn't pass, Ukraine will fall. Does that pretty much show that this is losing war? I think Ukraine's got the people. They need the bullets is what they need. And they need not just bullets to like keep it at a stalemate, but they need stuff that can allow them to take ground. And we've got plenty of 40-year-old equipment that's just sitting there that we can send over to them. And when people talk about like, oh, we've sent $100 billion to Ukraine. No, we have not. We've sent $100 billion in obsolete equipment to Ukraine that we will never use under any circumstance because we got new stuff. That's what we're sending. We're not really sending them cash. We're sending them equipment, materials, munitions, paying for Starlink and satellite observations. And that's the stuff we're sending to them. And we're not sending them cash. So when you see these things like, oh, it's just a money laundering operation. No, like we're literally taking obsolete tanks we will never use and we send them to them and they can use them. That's what we're doing. So, yeah. Bitcoin, Trump has to pay $83.3 million. Is that on the Eugene Carroll case, Bitcoin, that just come out? Woo! If that is, dang. He had to pay $10 million before, and then he immediately, like, after the trial, was like, blah, 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 King's evil. And she sued him again. Man. Woof. Woof. Yeah. So, yeah, we need to send them stuff. And the people who don't want to send Ukraine stuff all happen to be the people that, got in trouble for having sex with a Russian spy or seem to have connections to other nefarious things, or just happen to love Putin and speeches talk great things about Putin, who's a terrible human being. So, interesting. Spy 620. Oh, Houston, damn it. Why schedule at 4 p.m. Edmonton time? I gotta go to work. Or do I? I had to use as much daylight as I could to go work on cars because, A, I have nothing but shit boxes and they need work. B, I'm also going out with friends this evening, so I need to, I can't do a late night show. So this is the time it gets. I'm sorry, Spy. Have a great session, my friend. Okay. First Day Productions. How does a 100-to-1 reverse split for call options? I have many in a stock ticker that recently dropped a bomb on its shareholders. You get screwed. You get screwed big time. Big time. Because your contract for 100 shares becomes a contract for 1 share. So if you had call options at $1 for 100 shares, let's say, it becomes a call option at 1 cent for 1 share. I think. Somewhere around there. Or is it $100? No, it's the other way around. It becomes $100 for 1 share. So you get absolutely screwed on call options. The folks might be able to eke some pennies out of puts, but call options, you're hosed. Absolutely hosed. So I would say jettison those things and yeah. Lee Saw, Houston, Alabama executed prisoner by giving 100% nitrogen to the brain. How do they come up with these methods? I thought they had a stay on that they weren't going to be allowed to do it until until like the Supreme Court or something ruled on it. I'm not a big fan of executions in general, because I think they're more expensive than just putting someone away for life, because the amount of appeals and this, like, it just takes so long and so much money and so much effort. And then we've discovered that we've executed like hundreds of innocent people, that, you know, especially in places like Texas, where your public defender is like asleep at your table. They have, you know, the prosecutors hide witnesses that would be able to provide alibis, and then some poor dude gets convicted because he happens to be a black guy in that neighborhood, and then executed, and then they find out like a year later, oh yeah, no, he totally didn't do it. I just don't think it is helpful for society to have that. It just doesn't. It just is a waste of time, money, energy. It doesn't dissuade anyone from committing crimes, because most crimes that you get convicted for and get sentenced to death are crimes of passion anyway, where like you're out of your mind because your wife's cheating on you or whatever. You're like, oh, I'm gonna kill everybody, and you cannot be reasoned with. It's not like the consequences of, oh, if I kill everybody, I might get put to death. That doesn't work. It just doesn't. It doesn't work, and we do a shitty job with the criminal justice system, especially for poor people. And, you know, we could do things to alleviate the problems with the criminal justice system, like make a parity law so that every dollar spent by the prosecution has to get sent, an equal dollar has to get sent to the defense. Because what happens now is you've got public defenders who are defending way too many people. They can't pay attention to what's going on. The workload is gigantic. There's a current lawsuit going on in Oregon about this, that lawyers are like, no, I cannot take another client. And the judge is like ordering them to take another client. Like, I cannot provide, you know, service to this person because I have 150 other clients who will have trial in the next 2 weeks. I cannot take on another one. So there's like a giant lawsuit going on between the courts and the lawyers over this. And, but the prosecutor's office, they get like 50 times the funding. They've got all sorts of expert witnesses. They get money thrown at them like crazy. They can hire consultants and do stuff. And the public defenders, they can't do any of that. Like, well, Your Honor, I have 150 other cases I have to work on. I cannot interview anybody, and I can't help this poor guy who's going to go to jail or prison, or death row because of it. We have a really, really, really shit system. And I don't think executing people improves that system in any way when it's already a shit system. I say improve the system, like stop all executions, improve the system first, and maybe when you guys don't do such a shitty job at trying cases and defending them, perhaps we can revisit the let's kill people with pure nitrogen method. But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing. First Day Productions, Bob Laser. Do you think he was used, given access to UFO data as a psyop for the government to trick Russia and China into believing we have viable spacecraft to burn their military budgets? No, I think Bob Laser's just crazy. I did see a jet. So remember my UFO story about being at the Gooseneck Canyon and the weird silent jet like flew by down the canyon and the dude looked at me? I finally found, oh God, what was it called? It was a Boeing jet, and the model they had stopped flying in like 2001, and this was 2003, I believe, when I saw it. But it was very similar. Boeing test jet. Oh my God, what was it? It was stealth. It was this one. Bird of Prey. That's right. That's what it was. So this is one, it's kind of similar to what I saw, but not quite. I saw it the other day. I was like, oh, I need to mention this. Okay, Bird of Prey. This is in some Indiana Flight Museum. Oh God. So it's the top one. This guy up here. It was kind of similar. In my brain, the wings were a little more rounded. but yeah, it popped up on like scrolling through Facebook and was like, check out this interesting plane from 1999 or 96. And I was like, that thing is really similar. And apparently it's super quiet, really maneuverable, and stealth. And what I saw was something that was extremely maneuverable, really quiet, and was slow. Like slow enough that we locked eyes with each other as it flew along. So this is as close as it was. It did not say Boeing on the side. That would have been like, that's a Boeing plane. And it was like 4 years after this thing. So this is from 92 to 99. That's what it was. So I think it was 2003 that I saw it. But man, yeah, what's the next image of it? It's really, really, really close to what I saw. Anyway, speaking of UFOs, that just popped up in my call the bird of prey because these little winglets here. I was reading about it, like the Klingon bird of prey. No, it's a Klingon bird of prey. Yeah, Romulan. Yeah, shit. Warbird. Warbird is Klingon. Bird of prey is Romulan. Is that right? I think so. William Jones, likely from lessons learned at various clinics. Wait, what? I've heard that Canada is spearheading the civilized world in the latest neo-Nazi euthanization techniques. Are they? I don't know. Kelly Reid, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, U.S.-China Economic Working Group to meet shortly for larger discussion on China's macroeconomic situation. I wonder what the meeting like that goes like, right? Because you have the U.S. people whose information is limited. Like we might have spies and stuff there, and we got, NGOs and open source intelligence people working on it. And we go, hey, China, you guys are screwed, right? And the Chinese government people go, no, we're not. Everything's fine. Because they're not allowed to say we're screwed. But maybe on a one-on-one, be like, look, we're actually kind of screwed. What is it they would talk about? Would it be like, China, you're screwed, and we own way too many of your construction, bank, and municipal bonds, and we're screwed because of it? China's going to go, yes. What did they talk about? The macroeconomic situation in China. What can you talk about? How brazen can you be as a U.S. Treasury Secretary, State Department person coming in there? I don't know, man. Lisa saw xenophobia rearing its head in Japan again this week. Target a lady born in Ukraine but raised in Japan winning a beauty pageant. I saw that like a white lady won a beauty pageant in Japan. Japanese culturally it can be pretty racist. My stepmom's from Okinawa, and there are ladies. She's like a member of a Japanese club, and all the ladies, they're all married to American husbands and stuff, but they do bowling and have parties, and they like sit and talk Japanese and watch old like Japanese soap operas together and stuff. And there's a few of them who refuse to be friends with my stepmom because she's Okinawan and not human. And it creates rifts where the other Japanese ladies are like, you suck to the racist ones. And then those racist ones go like sit in their homes alone and don't have any friends as a result. But at least they have their false sense of pride because of the vagina they slithered out of. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. I didn't know much about it until I read the book You Gotta Have Wa, which is about Japanese baseball, dating back from turn of the century through probably the 1980s. It's probably been updated since then. It's a really good book, by the way. And like Sadahara Oh is, I think, Taiwanese, and they were really upset that he had the home run record. There were players who were Russo-Japanese that were like the Northern Islands. Sometimes are Russia, sometimes are Japan, sometimes are Russia. And so there's people that are mixed with Russian and Japanese, and they're like well, he's a really good baseball player, but he's not like a human being, so I don't know what we should do about it. And yeah, it's just be cool with people, man. That's all I have to do. Frozen State Productions is China trying to force its banks to give Evergrande loans. Lots of 401ks and banks hold those bonds to just rip the Band-Aid off. I have the feeling that the $200 and whatever billion infusion China's doing will be China will take over the construction companies and finish building these buildings, so that they aren't just empty, and Evergrande will just be set adrift. Everyone's bonds all over the world will be worthless, and that will cause banks to fail everywhere. And China will be like, I don't care, because they don't. And then China will discover that there's not enough people to take over all the buildings that they were building, and those things will sit empty, and the Chinese government will have wasted a bunch of money, and then eventually they'll get stripped for recycling by, shady people who are like, copper. And then the buildings will all be empty and fall down, and just like all the other infrastructure in China that was built over the last 20 years. I think that's how it's going to go. That's Houston's crystal ball right there. Frozen Productions, dang, my virtue put didn't go through. Oh, you had a virtue put going? Bummer, man. Kelly, happy birthday, HW. For you going on a date with a Canadian, it's tradition to gift her some maple syrup and a bag of ketchup chips. I tried ketchup chips. I don't understand them. I was like, all right, I've heard about this. I will get some ketchup chips. Paid $2 at a gas station. Was like, no. I think you must have to eat them with your Gerber's baby formula or something in order to appreciate them, because they were gross. They were really, really gross. SJ's here. G'day, everyone. G'day. Lindsay Amon. I tried the DRS my MMTLP shares, but I got put off by the Schwab guy. Is it too late since you said something may be happening sooner than later? The S1 says within 60 days of the S1 approval. The S1 has not been approved yet, so you still have time. Get a different Schwab guy. And tell them specifically, how I phrased it with Fidelity was, hey, an S1 has been filed by NextBridge saying I need to register my shares with AST in order to receive a share distribution in another company. And then that person goes clickety clack, click clack clack, brings up the S1 and goes, oh, okay, and then DRS is your shares. That's what they did at Fidelity for me. So try that. Not to be like, hey, I want to DRS my shares. Be like, the S1 says this, and then they're forced to go look at the S1. And then if they say no, then you can always be like, well, can I talk to your compliance officer? And they go, fine. And they provide the compliance officer. So that's what, do that. Citizen 54 Republicans are both complaining about the border and also blocking a bipartisan border bill. For a guy who can't feel his own, Abbott sure loves acting like an asshole. Nobody's not going to get that, but yeah. I understand the concerns. People come across the border, they need housing, food, money, jobs, help, social workers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think if we do a border patrol bill, we need, and I talked about this a couple shows ago, we need to focus on perhaps helping those nations where the people are fleeing from, rather than making those nations worse. From about 2017 on, we upped deportations big time, especially deportations of people who were brought across the border as children and got into criminal trouble, and then they get sent back to a nation that they have no familiarity with, to El Salvador, Belize, Nicaragua, Guatemala. So they may have grown up in a poor neighborhood, joined a street gang, got busted for something, discovered that they were not here legally, and then they deport them. And so what happens is these young kids who have no skills outside of being a gangster, and they don't actually know anybody in Guatemala or El Salvador, they come off the plane and they're met by their friends who are also gangsters. And then those gangs run rampant all over the countryside. and start displacing people. And then the good people who are the farmers and workers, they get death threats and their friends and family are held hostage. And then they go, well, fuck this place. I'm going to go to America. And so they come to America with their children and try to sneak in. And then it creates this giant cycle. Like if we're going to deport 100,000 gangbangers to El Salvador who were raised here, thought they were American, right? And El Salvador does not have the money to police those people when they get off, or to provide social workers or integrate them into society, or they don't have that. And so we're creating just horrible conditions throughout all of Central America with this. And, we create a horrible situation in Venezuela. Our sanctions in Venezuela, which started in 2014 under the Obama administration, vaporized the Venezuelan economy. Venezuela was the fastest growing economy in the world up until 2014 when our sanctions hit. I mean, they were growing 50% a year. Insane. And now they've depopulated by 25%. They were a pretty large country. They've lost 25% of their population. They've had the largest shrinkage of an economy during peacetime of any nation in history. Like their oil production went from over 300 million barrels a year to less than 100 million barrels a year, which means they don't have money for anything anymore, which caused them to not be able to update equipment, farming fields, public transportation, schools, you name it. Like everything's just fallen apart. Some of it was their own doing, like Maduro's kind of an idiot, and they fired everyone at the oil fields who knew how to operate the oil fields because they were afraid that they were part of the political opposition, which is not a great thing to do, because if people who are part of your political party don't know how to operate the oil fields, then you're going to fail miserably. But like we are causing problems in a lot of these nations. We're causing problems in Haiti. We did a shit job making sure Haiti was stable after that earthquake, and it's just been run by street gangs ever since. And now Haitians are like, I want to get the fuck out of here, and they're trying to flood back in the U.S. again. So we have to look at a holistic approach to this. We have to be able to do nation building in these places. They're our neighbors, and then maybe we don't have to worry about the border anymore. If you can make a first world nation out of Mexico, and a first world nation out of Guatemala, and a first world nation out of El Salvador, and a first world nation out of Nicaragua, and a first world nation out of Ecuador and Venezuela, then people stop wanting to leave their nations, and they won't want to come here. They'll be like, hey, things are fine here. I'm peaceful. I'm middle class. I've got loving family. Things are secure. My investments are safe. I don't have gangs everywhere. And they have no desire to walk 3,000 miles through the jungle and try to sneak across the border for hopefully a better life here where we sort of have our shit together. Just like putting giant walls up and spending all this money on walls just causes people to make tumbles. When communism fell in 1989, and then the Soviet Union fell apart in August 91, what the European Union did, they didn't have a common currency back then, but the European Union still existed, was they focused really, 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 really hard on nation building on the sides that had been Eastern Bloc nations. And now all these nations are members of the EU, and there's no borders between any of them. There's no need for anybody to be like, oh, I'm going to flee East Berlin and try to get my way over to the West. They don't need to do that anymore. They don't need to try and escape from the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, or Hungary into the Western world, or try to black market goods. There's really no border, and they just drive right across. Why can't we do that with everyone here? Is it because they're brown? Is that why? And we just don't want to help brown people? They're our neighbors. They share a hemisphere with us. We share borders. Just anyway. Can I read? New from SC13GA for GME. BlackRock increased their position from 21,977,000 to 22,544,000 shares, a 2.58% increase. Gotta buy the dip before the market crash. Then MOAS, GME to the moon. Yeah, Iggy just sent that before the show. I only got to take a brief look at it before it began the show, but interesting. That's puts them at there's 300 million shares. They're at 22 million. Puts them at 7.4, 7.5%. 7.3%. Okay, so they're still under the 10% threshold because they don't want to be insiders. None of the index funds want to be in. Vanguard doesn't want to be insiders. They will always be between 7 and 9% usually when they hold a company. Frozen Day Productions has been trying to improve my diet. Looking at fried foods, I learned the first French fries weren't cooked in France. They were cooked in Greece. Oh, damn it. Such a terrible joke. All right. Joseph Lee, how much longer do you think we have until pump and dump case is settled? I was hoping it'd be done like 10 days ago. Kitty, do you have as much idea as I do at this point? You warm, fuzzy little void, you. Oh, you're just such a little dude. Yes, you are. You're just such a little dude. Yeah. Ba-dum-dum-dum. When's the next hearing? Anyone know if the next hearing's expected on that? Or if the judge just has to like throw out a ruling? It might just be a ruling, like either the case is thrown out, the current plaintiffs get to remain plaintiffs, or the BBBY becomes plaintiff. That's what could be happening. I think it's likely BBBY becomes plaintiff or the case gets dismissed and the judge says, BBBY, we're dismissing the case. If you want to sue them, you have to file all over again. That might be the two outcomes we're looking at. So, yeah. Tom Zaki, can you explain for a 5-year-old German what's going on with this Texas border crisis and this 1 p.m. deadline? Is civil war on the horizon in the U.S.? People talk about civil war being on the horizon in the U.S., but I don't think so. I don't even know enough about it. People today are like, are we gonna go to war? Okay, so we got 5 hours ago. What's happening with the news? Justice Department threatens Texas with legal action over floating border barrier. It's not Rio Grande. Okay, that's from last summer. Anything updated? So we got 5 hours ago, Lieutenant Governor entered the park. DOJ sues Rio Grande. Let's see here. Tiger droppings. What's going on there? Trump calls on states to send National Guard to Texas. So he's trying to make something happen with that. Greg Abbott is currently in India, so Lieutenant Governor's in charge at the moment. So, yep. Anything happening that's been? Let's see here. Update. That's what time was that? You know timestamps on this thing? I don't know what's going on. I think it's probably gonna be like they're gonna get sued by the federal government or something. Be my guess. And then Texas Republicans are like, war, and everyone's gonna roll their eyes. That's what I think is happening. Cran Green gifted 5 memberships. Cali Bowl got one. Guts for the Long Term got one. Brenda Queen of Swords got one. Icky got one. Derek Kohler's got one. There we go. Didn't get any lurkers on this group. It's all pretty active folks that popped up here. I like when the lurkers like Dwayne Reading. I'm like, who the hell is that? But yeah, sorry, Tom Zock. I don't know what the hell's going on. I can't even find anything in the news about it popping up. So, brouhaha made by people on 4chan or something. Mr. Oak Houston, why do hospitals have AC units to keep the vegetables cold and fresh? You guys and your terrible jokes. Rose Day Productions, are weekends really the strongest days of the week since the rest of the days are weekdays? So, the state trooper comes across a really horrible accident. This car is like smashed into a retaining wall and there's just fuel everywhere. And he looks in and there's two dead people. They are dead. And a monkey who's just sitting there, just like, and the monkey looks at him and he looks at the monkey and he's like, I guess you're a witness. Do you see what happened? The monkey goes, mm-hmm. Well, what was going on? He's like, oh, they were drinking? Mm-hmm. How about, oh, they were smoking too? Mm-hmm. What else was happening? He's like, they're having sex? The monkey's like, yeah. He's like, well, what were you doing? Where am I? I've lost my... First Day Productions, happy birthday. What is Hubble tension? I don't know. If I learned it, I don't remember it. Hubble tension stems from the measuring of the Hubble constant, radiant risk expansion. Two different ways will get you two different answers. I pretty much ruled out the Hubble telescope made a mistake. The question turns out, what don't we know about causing discrepancy? Oh, okay. So there's the Hubble constant. So the Hubble constant is the fact the universe is accelerating away from itself or expanding away from itself. And so it's like 70 kilometers per second per million parsecs is how much, and a million parsecs is like 3 million light years, give or take. Now, the problem with the way we measure distances in space is that there's only a few things we can measure with high accuracy. We can use like a laser to measure the distance from the Earth to the moon. We can use a laser to measure the difference between like Saturn or Mars and Earth. We start getting distances past that. Those lasers don't work anymore. We can use radio signals from objects we sent out to the deep solar system to measure those distances. We can calculate how far a planet is away by its orbital period. So that kind of gives us some good calculations. But the minute you start doing these calculations, you're introducing finite bits of error because we don't have like a tape measure we can lay down. The next step in measuring distance to objects is probably parallax. And paint time. Bing. Turn off Chrome. Bing. All right. Got paint. Make paint a little bigger. Come on, this guy. Boop. And okay. So let's say you have a star. Boop. That is meow. Boop, 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 boop. And then really, really far away, got a whole bunch of galaxies and other stars all just out here doing their thing. And in, I might make this guy a little thicker. Get thicker. We have like the sun, down here doing the sun thing. Woo, yay. And then going around the sun, we have the Earth goes in orbit around the sun, right? And the Earth is in different positions, different times of the year. So one time of the year, it's on this side of the sun, and then 6 months later, it's on this side of the sun. And what we can do is we can look at this star with a telescope, and we can see what stars are in the background. And then when we go to the other side of the sun 6 months later, we look at that same star, and we see the background stars have changed. And you can do this with your finger. You can hold your finger up in front of your face, close one eye, and then shift eye to eye, and look at the background, how it will shift back and forth. This makes a right triangle. Boop, boop, right? And you can measure the distance between the Earth and the sun and the rate of change of these background stars, and you can sort of figure out what this angle is, right? If you can figure out what this angle is, you can get a rough idea of using trigonometry about how far away that star is. Now, this isn't perfect. These background stars aren't at infinite distance. There's always going to be a little bit of error in there. But it gives you an idea. And you can go out to, maybe 1,000 light years or so using parallax to figure out distance to a star. And then you can look at things like Cepheid variables. And Cepheid variables are stars that kind of pulsate. They get like large and cool, and then small and hot, and large and cool, and small and hot. And knowing what color the star is, you can have an idea of what temperature it is and what its luminosity is. And you can start to measure, like using the R-squared law, where distance between an object, the light coming from it fails at 1 over R squared, meaning if this is R, this distance here, if you're one unit away, it's 1 over 1 squared, which is 1. It's bright. If you go 2 units away, it's 1 over 2 squared. And it's now 1/4 as bright, and it gets much more dim the further away you get. And so you can start to measure, calculate, okay, the star is this bright, with this type of star, it's this temperature, it should be this size, so it should have this amount of luminosity, so it must be this far away. So that's one way we do it. And then you can, when you look really, really far away, let's do new. I don't save. You want to look really, really, really far away at things like galaxies, right? You got galaxies that are out here, and they are like millions and millions and millions of light years away, and some of them are bigger and closer, right? And we're Earth in our galaxy out here, and we're stuck in this galaxy, and we want to figure out how far away these are. There's a supernova called Type 2 supernova, and it's known as the standard candle. So you can have like a really big star. Let's say it's a big red giant. And this ignore is not part of this whole thing. This is a star inside of a galaxy, so we're going to kind of make a little window for it. And you have a really, really big red giant star, and it could be in a binary system with a star that I need to make it black. No, color 1. Black. Color. Make that white. Make that black. There we go. So it could have a little companion star. It's a little white dwarf. It's hard to make something white on here. And it's the core of a star that's kind of blown away its envelope. It's at the end of its life. And so it's just this little core of a star. And they're in a binary system, and this star is inflating and getting bigger and bigger. So, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And if the envelope of the star happens to cross into the gravity well of this little guy, it will pull gas onto it. And you might get some novas, like little flashes of fusion happen when it falls down onto the white dwarf. And that matter will then compact back down onto the white dwarf core. Well, if this white dwarf core gets to 1.4 solar masses, that's supposed to be the sun, so solar masses, gets to 1.4 solar masses, it will collapse into a black hole, or not into a neutron star, sorry, and it will fuse a whole bunch of that material all at once. And it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a limit. Like one extra atom falls onto that white dwarf, it causes an entire collapse of the electron degeneracy inside that white dwarf, because electrons don't like touching each other. But if you put enough force on them, you will force electrons to merge with each other and become neutrons. And the whole thing will collapse bloop, into a neutron star. And it will, when it does so, it creates supernova, because it fuses like 10% of the energy inside of there into heavier elements. But because every single one of these white dwarfs collapse at the exact same mass, every single solitary one of them, that whenever you see a white dwarf explode in one of these galaxies, and it's a Type 2 supernova, that has the exact same luminosity as the other Type 2 supernovas. So if you know their luminosity, and you know how bright it is when we look at it from Earth through a telescope, you can start actually doing the math and calculating the distances between these galaxies and Earth. Every single one of them. We know. So that gets to be about as far away as we can calculate the distances. And what Hubble did was Hubble used type 2 supernovas to figure out how far away these galaxies are. And then he looked at the redshift in the galaxies because you can put the light through a prism and you can get a rainbow. And you know what the curve... we're getting really far into astronomy here. You know what wavelengths should represent in the spectrum according to where the absorption lines are. So like helium has certain absorption lines, hydrogen has certain absorption lines, nitrogen has certain absorption lines, neon, you name it, sodium, and they absorb at certain wavelengths of light. But if something's moving away from you, the entire spectrum shifts towards the red, meaning a sodium absorption line that should be in the yellow might have shifted more towards red or orange. I'm like, weird, that's weird. That should be sodium. Sodium's yellow. Why is this red? It's because it's running away from you. The Doppler effect is affecting it, and the wavelengths are getting longer as a result. And you can calculate how big the difference is, how far it's shifted into the red, and how fast it's going. And when Hubble looked at the standard candles, these supernovas that are far away, he discovered there was like a linear correlation between how far away a galaxy is and how much it's redshifted. And that redshift comes to that 70 kilometers per second per megaparsec. And what they're finding is that with technology is that number isn't exact everywhere you look. And I think that's what they mean by the Hubble tension. Does that make sense? Does that help? Is that a long explanation for it? Basically, I just hand wavy did like an entire month of astronomy for you right there. So yeah. There's a lot of stuff usually I teach in class that builds up to this, and I really skipped a lot to get there. But hopefully my crappy drawing helped out. Yeah, this 1.4 is known as the Chandrasekhar limit. And what's funny is that Chandrasekhar published a paper about this in like 1950s, I think. And he was like, yeah, look at this thing. I discovered the mass at which electron degeneracy can no longer hold up, and these things collapse into supernovas. He just presented this paper at Caltech, and Feynman was like, oh yeah, I did that like 20 years ago. But Feynman always hated writing papers, so he never read anything. And Chandrasekhar was like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, one sec. And he like rooted through his desk and like pulled out a notebook. He's like, here you go. And he flips to it. He's like, holy shit, you did figure this out like 20 years before me. It's one of those crazy Feynman things. He was a genius. His biography is actually called Genius. So there you go. Boom. Where'd my... There we are. All right. All right. Meow meow. If Kenny gets stretched out enough in Leavenworth, do you think he'll get all juicy in the shower if he sees a new inmate with super low hanging fruit? If you guys don't know, that's a prison sex joke. There you go. Not a moth. Nvidia is still shooting up predictions on it. I don't know how much longer Nvidia can keep shooting up. I don't know. Like, does it make sense to you? Like, how much longer can it possibly be doing it? I don't know. I think, is my video frozen in my other thing? Oh no, it's just really far behind. Sorry. I've got like the live stream thing for YouTube, and then I've got this Streamlabs thing on the other monitor, and it looks like I'm like 10 minutes behind for some reason, which tells me that the internet sucks, and I apologize. But that's such is life. Houston and the crappy internet. That's what I get to live with. Nvidia is insane. Its stock price so far outstripping its actual value as a company. It blows my mind. But it is one of those 7 tech stocks that are keeping all the indexes afloat right now. The S&P 500 is so heavily invested in those 7 tech stocks. There's 500 stocks in there, but like 30% of it is those 7 stocks. The NASDAQ 1000, again, those 7 stocks represent like half of the entire value of the NASDAQ 1000. So while the companies may be failing miserably and their prices might be artificially boosted, Nvidia is just insane how high the price is. I don't know how long the bubble's going to last. I really don't. Kenny says Nvidia is worth 500,000 a share. Buy because he needs the cheese. Probably, right? Right, monkey? Right? Look at you. You're a dog. You're a dog. You are. That's a cat. That's a little cat right there. Wow. All right. Where was I? William Jones, name the fastest liquid. I don't know enough about viscosity and chemistry to name the fastest liquid. Unless this is a joke that you're preparing me for. Like something like slides downhill that has really low viscosity. I don't know, like water-based sex lube or something. Seems like a pretty low viscosity. It would easily just run downhill. You need the right kind of density too, for it to do that way. I don't know, William Jones. You might have to tell me. First Day Productions, are you really an hour behind the chat when people start posting an hour before you start? Sometimes, because it takes a while, especially if I get a question about like astronomy and I have to spend 10 minutes answering that one question with my crappy little paint drawings, then yeah, I am currently an hour and 15 minutes behind because I haven't gotten to where the show started. That's where we are, right there. Coffee Donuts and Homer, Met offering C-class shares. What's that about? Like Ape Share? I honestly don't know, man. I don't know if they're set up as poison pill. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue what they're doing and what their plan is. Because to me personally, I see hedge funds going about the whole thing. I don't see how this will come out as a win for us. I think the only way they can win is by doing a honeypot. Honeypot it. That's it. And it would cost, at this point, probably, yesterday it was $30 million. Today it's probably like $20 million it cost to do the honeypot at this point. So if there's a whale out there, if there's somebody who has like 20 million bucks sitting in an account, I think they could easily destroy every short in existence for that $20 million. They could just vaporize them. Just poof. That's it. Yeah. Don't you think so, monkey? Don't you think so, buddy? Yes, you do think so. And especially if they get this thing down to like a penny a share before there's a split and it comes up reverse split, it's $1 a share and the entire company's worth $5 million. You could honeypot this sucker for $5 million and absolutely destroy them. Is it time? Are we an hour in and now you just give me the stare? We have to go to Nuggies. Yeah. We're gonna nuggie it. Michael Mystery giving us wonderful Nuggies here. Do-do-do. Oh, is that what you like? Want to get it? Want to get that? I'm not moving my hand. My hand's staying in one spot. It's in one spot. That's where it can be right there. Oh, it's so close. How are you going to get it? How are you going to get it? It's right there. I'm not going to move my hand. Oh. 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 You figure it out? You figure it out? It's right there. It's right there. You're so polite. You're like the most polite dog in the world. Other dogs would have ripped my face off by now and absolutely just torn me to shreds to get this thing. And you are just the most polite dog ever. How about we do Jaws Cam? We haven't done Jaws Cam in a while. There we go. All right. Frozen Day Productions. It's interesting. Michael from the PP Show has discovered many CEOs did share buybacks at the same time when Biden took office. Like they colluded during the chaos and the presidential change. I think at that time, right? Like the COVID vaccine had just come out. There were still waves of infection happening. I think a lot of them were like, they're not printing money anymore. We need to keep our stock price up. And so I think a lot of them did that anyway. The stock buyback thing has been an absolute horror show since probably the end of the recession in 2009. It's probably been they've been borrowing a ton of money doing stock buybacks, trying to boost their share prices because they get these incentives. They're like, hey, if your share price is above $65 a share, you get a $1 million bonus at the end of the year, or $20 million bonus, or whatever. And so they're like, well, the best way to make sure the share price is above $65 is if we borrow a whole bunch of money from that bank and we buy up our own shares, and we will cause the share price to go up. And then they give themselves a huge bonus as a result. I need to find that article. It was in, I think, 2018. There was an article that came out that talked about 109% of all corporate profits were going to share buybacks, meaning people were borrowing money to do these share buybacks, and that it was causing a bubble in the market. And this is 2018, and that they're expecting this whole thing to collapse in on itself. And I think it was going to anyway, and then we had to print a bunch of cash for COVID, and it sort of threw the timeline off of all this stuff. Let's see here. Buyback. I'll say it's like 2018. Corporate America gives out record $1 trillion. Stock buybacks. This is CNN from 2018. Oops. Leave my wonderful drawings. Corporate America gives out record $1 trillion in stock buybacks. So Corporate America celebrated its first full year under the new tax law by rolling out a record-setting $1 trillion of stock buybacks. U.S. companies led by Lowe's, ABBV, reward shareholders by unveiling $34.4 billion of stock buybacks last week, according to Trim Labs investment research. They lifted repurchase announcements above $1 trillion for the first time ever. Trim Tab said, exceeding the prior record of $781 billion set in 2015. Johnson & Johnson, mired in controversy, iconic baby powder, announced a $5 billion stock buyback. So rather than paying a settlement to everyone who got cancer from baby powder, they're going to do a stock buyback. Boeing did ramped up their stock buyback program, and to pay for that stock buyback program, they fired all 900 quality assurance engineers. So how's that working out for you, Boeing? Your stock price has crumbled since then, you fucking idiots. Sorry for swearing there, William Jones. The buyback boom has been fueled by strong economic growth in the corporate tax overhaul that was signed into law a year ago. It's no coincidence, said David Sacchi, Trim Labs Director of Liquidity Research. A lot of buybacks are because of the tax law. Companies have more cash to pump into the stock price. Not only did the tax law reduce the corporate rate, but it gave a big break to companies returning foreign profits. Companies have used a sizable chunk of that windfall to reward shareholder buyback announcements have spiked 64% so far this year. Wall Street loves buybacks because they artificially inflate earnings and backstop prices by providing a price insensitive buyer. But critics complain that the companies often launch buybacks when prices are elevated, not necessarily when they spot a bargain. That appeared to play out this year, which started with stocks racing to all-time highs. These companies announced $113 billion in buybacks per month during the first half of the year, but the pace of buybacks decelerated to $54 billion a month during the last 6 months of the year, even as stock prices plunged. Companies tend to buy high. When markets are going down, buybacks go down. Yep. So there you go. That's not the article I was looking for that was showing the rate of maybe it was 2019. Common enhancement, influence share buybacks. It was sometime around then. It was after the tax thing had happened. That 2022 company spent nearly 40% of profit in stock buybacks. Used 54% of their earnings stock buybacks. I'm not sure when that one was. That was Harvard Business School one. These are all too new. These are all 2022, 2023. So let's narrow our search. Minus 2022, minus 2023, minus 2021, minus 2020. Okay. DJ share buyback. Boeing mismanages, forfeit your pay and resign. That's someone talking about the stock buybacks that Boeing did. It's not. Well, at any rate, you get the idea. They spend money on stock buybacks. and then not on making the company better. And so Boeing planes are falling out of the sky, and people are poisoning their babies with baby formula. So there you go. Reset the chat. Gotta go scroll back up again. Back to... Oh. Redshift Productions, where were you? Macroeconomic Rite Aid went to expert market and the price dropped. There was weird spikes too. It went from like 10 cents to 30 cents and back down again. But yeah, Rite Aid's on the expert market now, so you can't get any more if you wanted to get some. So hopefully, if you want it, you load it up. I didn't get any because I'm waiting until I get paid by what I have at the moment. Lord Jameson, Houston. It seems the Seahawks had a heavily religious culture with Pete and Russell were there. As an atheist, I tend to think it might be a refreshing change coming. Any thoughts? Russell Wilson is the Alex Rodriguez of Tim Tebow's. Heavy religion and a weird narcissistic trait in there. And I know it annoyed some players. He would kind of preach to them, and they're like, dude, back off. But yeah, I don't know about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll got in some hot water because he had like Jordan Peterson come and talk to them, and a lot of players were like, fuck this guy. So like some weird things like that happened. It was like before people really knew who Jordan Peterson was. He was much more like seen as like, I want young men to stand up and make their beds, and then realize that he had like a weird far right kind of racist message under everything. But yeah, they did some weird things there. I waited on Pete Carroll back in the day. He used to come into the pub I was working in every Wednesday during the off season with his wife. Every Wednesday. So I waited on him every Wednesday for like, I don't know, 3 years or something. Very nice guy. Sweet, kind, earnest. You know, I and none of the people on staff really bothered him. Like, hey, so Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. We just treat him like a normal customer and would say hellos, and we recognize him and be like, hey man, and he'd wink back at us. Yeah, I never saw him personally as super religious, more as he wanted to make good people out of his players. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like we had some issues where players were drunk and getting in car accidents and stuff, and just like college campuses. And I think Pete Carroll loved not coaching college football anymore. I think the whole recruiting thing was exhausting for him, and it was absolutely wonderful to be like, the GM gets me some players and I don't have to go on recruiting trips anymore. This is awesome. So I think he just loved coaching in Seattle as a result. He's just like, I got my dudes. We make the best out of what we got and go from there. Russell Wilson, I think, became too prima donna. And that was his biggest problem was, you know, he had his own office. He had his own entourage. If you were one of his wide receivers, like, hey, let's have a talk about something. You had to, like, schedule with his people. And then you talk with his people first, and then maybe they'll release Russell Wilson and find some time for you to talk to him about, you know, play calling or whatever. And that type of stuff just really killed team cohesion. And I think it was a big mistake for the Seahawks to let Russell do that stuff and bring his entourage in there. They should have been like, look, dude, they stay outside. When you're here, you do what we tell you. And that was, I think, the biggest reason why they got rid of him. Was not because his play was going down, not for any other reason. I think it was because the wide receivers hated his guts. The O-line hated his guts. And they're like, get out of here. He's got a really, really weird narcissism that came along like A-Rod had. And then he's super religious like Tim Tebow. That's why I say Russell Wilson is the Alex Rodriguez of Tim Tebow's. And I can't think of a more apt way to describe the dude. Now they're talking about they might bring him back because he's getting cut from. It looks like he's getting cut from Denver. So you know, I mean, if you get him for $1 million, because Denver's paying him $30 million, and you can get him to like not be a narcissistic douchebag in the locker room, then maybe. But I think it's better to like invest in an O-line, and you can put any quarterback. As long as you got a good O-line in there, everything goes well. So yeah. And Michael Harrow, Pete Carroll should have run the ball in that Super Bowl. Yes. Give it to Marshawn. Marshawn moved it a foot. You would have won, and you wouldn't have had interception and losing the Super Bowl to the Patriots. And then we would have had a full-blown dynasty because things fell apart after that. Danny Motes, Houston, happy birthday. 2 questions. First, what is the closest you've ever come to have a drink of alcohol? Second, have you seen Godzilla -1? It is great. Not typical Hollywood BS. I have heard wonderful things about Godzilla -1. I have not seen it yet. Scott, my old roommate, who's a film guy, he's like, you have to watch it. So I will get there eventually. The closest I've ever had to having a drink. Probably 3 instances. 1, at a New Year's party at our neighbor's when I was maybe 3 or 4 years old. I had a wine glass with sparkling apple cider in it. I put it down on the neighbor's piano and did something, came back, grabbed my glass, sipped, and it was champagne and it tasted disgusting. So that was first instance. Instance number 2, at a beach party, my friend Mark was quite hammered and I was poking fun at him. He took a swig of beer, spit it in my face, but managed to spit it into my mouth. So I had backwash beer mouth. That was disgusting. And number 3 was I had gone out to my opal claim in Wyoming and was coming back. And I stopped at like a Best Western in Missoula, Montana. And it was late. It was like 11 o'clock at night. Nothing was open except the gas station across the street. I was like, you know what? I'll get some like gas station chicken tenders. That's fine. And so I went across the street, got the chicken tenders, got like one of those mixed salad things they have. And I was like, oh, something to drink. And then there was this root beer. It said, best damn root beer. I was like, I love trying new root beers. I'll try the best damn root beer. So I bought it all, went back to the hotel room, got my chicken tenders ready, cracked the root beer, ate a chicken tender, took a swig, and spit it out. It tasted like a homeless person. It was a fortified root beer. And it was the most vile flavor I've ever had in my mouth. It literally tasted like the underside of an overpass. It was horrible. Like somebody who'd been on a bender, sleeping in their clothes in a dumpster for like a month. That was the flavor of the best damn root beer. And I didn't know it was fortified. I just thought it was just some root beer. And I was like, oh, I'll try a new root beer. And that was disgusting. So those are my 3 instances of having a drink. None of them intentional. Accidental / getting beer spit in my mouth. All right. Just from Dax, what's happening with Beyond reverse merger with BBBY? This story has so many twists. I don't know. We won't know until the paperwork gets filed. I think it's very interesting that the lawyers filed purposefully in the bankruptcy court to be like, hey, we want to retain the BBBY ticker. We want that. That's going to stay. That's not being going to anyone. So that tells me that they want something to come out of this, right? And it works really great for Buy Baby, BBBY. And the ticker for Overstock became Beyond, so they're Beyond. What would you use the BBY ticker for if not to reverse merger back with Bye Baby again? Or for what was the one, the Young Brothers? It was like Brandon, Brian, and Bailey or something. Young. So maybe they could use that for something. BBBY. But yeah, I don't know. But it looks like Beyond is going to open a baby specific store. And part of their trademark is for brick and mortar. Because brick and mortar is so hot right now. Yeah. Mario Valdez, HW. Do you think COVID will ever go away? My wife and I both got it for the second time, trying not to give it to our kids. No, it will become an endemic virus. It'll eventually become like the common cold in a few generations. But no, it's not going away. It'll be here forever. We really fucked that up and did not have a plan to keep it from mutating and spreading, and now it's endemic. And now what we need for it to basically become like a common cold and not kill people still. But hospitals are full. All the hospitals here are full. They are chock full of people who are having pneumonia and other problems. Yeah, so do your best to not get it, get vaccinated if you can. So if you do get it, symptoms are really mild. My symptoms are pretty mild. So yeah, do that. Right, monkey butt? Oh, she had her nuggie and now she's asleep. Oh, did I just scare you, kitty? Did I just scare you? Did that scare you? When I scratch your butt? Huh? Look at that tail. Look at that tail, monkey. Yeah. But, like, think about it. Things, we would get novel coronaviruses every 100 years or so. When it would appear, wipe out a huge chunk of the population. People would, like, have the plague and they would wander from village to village and kill other people. And eventually, you know, people in Eurasia got used to it. And the people in Africa got used to it. They were connected by land masses. The diseases would spread pretty easily. They did not spread the diseases across the oceans to the Americas, the New World. And when Spanish conquistadors and the Dutch and the British and the Portuguese landed in the New World, they gave what were common cold and flu viruses to the natives, and they wiped the native populations out. 90% of all the people in the Americas died from what we consider common cold and flu viruses. Like, oh yeah, it might be uncomfortable for a couple of days, but whatever. It killed them. Just like if we let COVID run rampant across the entire population of the globe and didn't have vaccines or antivirals or, you know, respirators or anything else, COVID would have wiped out probably 5% of the global population, right? It was just taking that many people out. Poof, gone. There goes 5% of the population. You know, that's what, 1 in 20 people dead. Yeah, that probably would have happened. And that's what happened back in the day. And that would be that's a mild, novel virus. There are ones like SARS or MERS or the avian flu that's been like transferring to, you know, seals and whales and stuff from bird shit, and that kills like 80% of people who get it. 80% of creatures who get it. And so if we were to have avian flu suddenly cross over and we're coughing and spitting in everyone's faces and spreading it just like we've been doing with RSV and COVID recently, we would see huge death rates, gigantic. I mean, I think MERS is like an 80% death rate. SARS was like 30%. So if we have a plague like that happen, oh shit, man, the zoonotic viruses are no joke. And yeah, but they would eventually become endemic, and the few people who survived the apocalypse of it would rebuild with antibodies that would protect them from more heinous infections later. And that's the story of human life right there. Okay. Dog Mom's here. Woo! William Jones learned to live with new forms of the flu that begin in your nasal area, back of the throat, gargle, nasal spray, vitamin D, improve your immune system, avoid non-working shots. Get vaccinated. I will say get vaccinated. Like, you can gargle all you want. Gargling is huge in lots of Asian cultures, and they still got hit hard with COVID and stuff. It's 15 minutes. Not even that now. They don't have you wait anymore. So, you know, now it's like you show up, they give you a shot, and send you on your way. So it's over with. You're done. So much easier. Snortlert, Houston accidentally still awake. Greetings from Europe. Welcome, Snortlert. Cameron Merz has got Blue Sky code for people. Yay! I still have like 60 Blue Sky codes. At this point, I think everybody who's donated who wants one gets one. So if you want a Blue Sky code, send me a message on Reddit. I'll give out Blue Sky codes until they're all gone. So yeah, if you want Blue Sky codes, send me a message on Reddit. I'll get you a Blue Sky code. Dad Jokes, Rad Jokes is here. Uh-oh. It looks like you've got competition, everyone. Robert Binder, how are we feeling about MMTLP these days? I think McCabe has got something planned for MMTLP, and I think it's going to be blockchain distribution of shares in Nuco. Once he gets that S1 approval, they'll go through the process. Everyone who's registered their shares will then be given shares in Nuco, whatever we're going to call a company, likely on the T0 blockchain. And I think that's going to be a perfect way to show just how short the shorts are and really screw them over. Because not only give them a count from all the brokers, like, oh shit, we need to get these shares for everybody, but it will force, I think, a market to be made for the Nuco shares, which might be extremely pricey. That's what I think we're going for. Chad Clifford came here in hopes of good GME discussion. Let's talk about how GME is the way. I mean, GME is the way, but it's not doing anything at the moment. I think the big stuff for GME is going to come when they do their fourth quarter results in March. Are we still at 14 something? 14.49. Yeah. So 14.49. It went down after hours to 14.42. We had a high, what was a high? 20 something? High was 18 on December 27th. I think intraday it went to like 20. I think their quarter four earnings are going to be fantastic, and I'm probably going to do an options play to play off of that. Because last year their earnings walloped expectations, and the price shot up $10 in after hours. And I had been playing the normal cycle, which is it goes up leading up to earnings, sell the call options, buy puts that make their earnings, and they crash the price $5 no matter what the earnings are, and then you make money off the puts. And I was doing that, and I was like, sweet, I'm going to do it this time around. I sold my call options, bought puts. They announced that they crush earnings by like 60 cents a share, and the price shot up $10. My puts were worthless. I was like, fart. If I just kept my stupid calls, I would have made like 11 grand, but I didn't. And so this time around, I'm going to hope that it's like last year, that they've been tweaking the earnings each quarter so that they can announce huge earnings for quarter four. And I'm going to play the options that way and see where we go. Apache Football Films, Houston. I hold MMTLP shares and paper certificate. When S1 is approved, will I have time to AST them? What is harm in holding paper until then? Some people who have paper shares, their paper shares are registered with AST. So I would call AST and be like, hey, my broker sent me paper certificates. Do you want me to send them to you and you hold them? Or do you want me to register them and I still keep them for some reason? I would call AST and ask them how that's going. Because I figured if they send you the paper shares, you just put them back in an envelope and send them to AST, and they just held there, and that's where they are. That's what Fidelity did for me. They sent all my paper shares to AST, and they're over there. I don't touch them. I don't have my hands on them at all. They have my name on them apparently, and they're AST, and everything's cool. But yeah. Robert Manson, next bid issues. I've transferred 5,700 shares, but I have 4,500 in Roth that was TD. But now Schwab. I thought AST told me they could come over and go into Roth, but I procrastinated. Now no ideas. I've heard so many different things for IRAs in these shares. Honestly, I don't know. I would call Schwab and AST and get them to figure things out. You may get hit with a tax of some kind if you move them out, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Don't know. Michael Harrow, 83 million. Trump don't have that. If he does, he scrolled it away somewhere. Joseph Lee, who is the next Democratic presidential choice after Biden? I'd be cool with like Sherrod Brown. I think that guy's pretty chill, of Ohio. Even like more traditional choices, Elizabeth Warren, whatever. She's too old. She's now in her 70s also. Like, no, young blood. And the young blood aren't old enough yet. So, you know, people would probably someday see AOC make a run, but she's only like 32, so she's not old enough to go yet. I would love Katie Porter. Katie Porter is rad, but I think she's running for Senate, but she's running against, what's his butt from LA? Former prosecutor, cat and dog, you're not helping me at all. Duh. Those are the two big names. I would love to see her as senator or president. What else would be big enough that folks would want? I don't know. When 2022 happened, or 2020 happened, and there was 22 people running for the Democratic nomination, Biden was like my 19th choice. Below him, Marianne Williamson, what's that dude? The math guy. Andrew Yang, that guy kind of sucked. Who was the other one that sucked more? I didn't like. Can't remember. But like Biden was like fourth from the bottom. I've taken 18 other people ahead of him, and somehow he got people who were like, yeah, I'll vote for him. I don't know why. I don't understand. There didn't meet anybody when I was at the caucus and primary who were excited. We're like, oh yeah, Biden all the way, bro. Like, there didn't seem to be anybody who was super excited about it, or voting for him. So I don't know how he won all those votes to become the nomination, but whatever. First Day Productions, I have a couple Acme board members in my LinkedIn. What questions should I ask them? Are you working for the hedge funds? Why aren't you doing a honeypot? Those are probably two big important questions. Like, for just a few $1 million, you can do a honeypot, murder the shorts, and probably end up with cajillions of dollars yourself. So that's what I would ask. Karen Mirza, Tesla stock down 25%. Their earnings are pretty bad this quarter. Pretty bad. Very interesting. How low will Wall Street drive it down this time? So let's look at... well, no, I mean, today it finished a little green. Let's see what's done this week. Bing. So yeah, we're at 210, crashed hard, down to 180. So it was down $30, $31. Went a little green today and then dropped a bit. So back up to 185. So if you had Tesla puts on like Wednesday, good for you. That's $3,000 per put right there. But the puts are probably $3,000 to begin with, so you doubled your money. So that's cool. But yeah. So there you go. Man. Whisker Biscuit. Honestly pretty down today about the whole Acme situation. Finally hitting me that my money's likely gone. Relying on MMTLP to pay at least $3 a share to break even, but seeing any money feels far away. I think McCabe has something planned with MMTLP that is it seems like it has members of Congress behind him who wield some power in these finance committees. The folks at MMAT, I don't think they're for us. I think the shorts got in there, and that's what it looks like to me. Robert Manson, don't want to lose tax incentives, which would be huge, so I need them in a Roth. Yeah, so I mean, let AST know, like, hey, I got them in a Roth, I can't transfer them, and then I don't know. Chuck tracks a look at Venezuelan ship collision back in 2022, I believe, as of your post yesterday. That was recent. Love your show. Keep it up. Well, Cali Bull sent it to me. I didn't learn about it until yesterday, so I thought it was more recent than 2022. But yeah, German cruise ship stronger than Venezuelan patrol ship. Robert Manson, last two small oil companies that were bought by the big boys went for $150 a share and $275 a share. Yeah, about $30 billion per billion barrels is what those came out to. Yeah. Cali Bowl, Houston tax filing extension to October with a good idea if nothing happens at BBY this first quarter. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to extend it and deal with it then. Your mother's favorite cock. Any tinfoil updates? I mean, I don't really do the tinfoil much on my show. I don't do too much of like reading the children's books. Every once in a while, like, yeah, it's funny to look at them, but I don't do too much of the tinfoil on the show. Your mother's favorite cock. Aaron Salentine today isn't donating to rainforests. I got a whooping $1 to give as always. No, Tuesday. Tuesday is Charity Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday, in a few days, we will be doing rainforests for Wrong Conclusions. Charity Tuesday. K Nices. Am I saying that right again? Nikes. Yeah, K Nikes. Mother Teresa in heaven saw Princess Diana. She asked Gabriel, how did she get a halo and not me? I spend my life helping others, Gabriel. That's not a halo, it's a steering wheel. Victor M. Hi, Houston. If GME announces a dividend like $1, will that cause Moas, or do we need a crypto dividend to be diabolic? Greetings from Berlin. A dividend announcement of any kind, like a regular cash dividend announcement of any kind, I think solidly pumps the stock quite well. And pushing it up to higher and higher prices can be a slow squeeze, kind of like what Tesla did for a while, until the good times were no longer rolling. I think a crypto dividend for GME would be fantastic. We're moving the stock to blockchain, doing those other things we speculated about a long time ago. But yeah, I think becoming a blue chip by offering a dividend is a great way to go for GME. And I give it a pretty solid chance that they'll announce something like that come earnings this quarter. That I think they're saving this stuff up. Like, look how much money we made. And we're going to offer a dividend from this point forward. And if they take their 1 point whatever billion and they invest into companies that also provide healthy dividends of, whatever, they could do 25 cents a quarter. Doesn't have to be big. But yeah, all of a sudden you're making money off of it. Emtra, what is happening in the U.S.? 25 Republican governors back Texas and escalating border standoff with the U.S. government. Stupid shit is what's happening. There you go. I don't know how to say it. It's just stupid. Victor M, would it be smart to short S&P 500 soon because the crash has to come? I mean, the S&P 500 is incredibly inflated, but as we talked about earlier, those tech stocks, those 7 tech stocks are 30-something% of the S&P 500, and they're flying. So they're being pumped like crazy. So until they're not being pumped anymore, I don't think the S&P 500 has a big old trip and fall. So I would have thought that the S&P 500 would have collapsed by now, but the amount of pumping they're doing in those 7 tech stocks is carrying the weight of everything. BFH, Houston, someone should remind Abbott what the U.S. does to people in desert regions with lots of oil who mess around with U.S. interests. Abbott's going to find himself in a spider hole. Stephanie L., hey there. Do I need a special type of brokerage account to do options? Also, you once told me about a YouTube channel that teaches people options. Was it Mr. Pickles? Gherkin. Gherkin has got some great videos on the Greeks and how options work. That's Pickle Finance, Pi-Fi. But yes, you don't need a special type of account. You need to apply for the ability to do options. So if you, I'm not sure what brokerage you're in, but in your settings somewhere, I'll be like, hey, I want to open up options account. They're going to ask you all these questions about your expertise in options and how confident you are. And if you say, I don't have no expertise, I'm not confident at all, I don't know what I'm doing, they won't let you do it. So you have to be able to do options and be like, I am super confident. I have many years of experience doing this. I know what I'm doing. And then they give you the ability to do options. So I suggest paper trading. You can find options paper trading websites for free, and you can paper trade options and kind of figure out how they work for you. Or when you get approval, you can do like really small cap stocks that have really low prices. The options are cheap because you don't want to learn the expensive way. You don't want to like all of a sudden be doing options on Amazon where the options cost a fortune and playing there and losing $1,000 per contract. Like that's not where you want to be playing. You want to play with the cheap stuff first, figure out how it works, do the free stuff, use free paper trading websites. So I suggest do that. That's my suggestion. And read how they work, watch videos on how they work. Yeah, that's what Houston recommends. What about James Bonds? Patty MJ, Houston. So here's a speculation. When the market actually rectifies some highly MMTLP'd stocks, using it as a verb, what's your thoughts on which will pay out most? BYQ, GME, AMC, MTLP, and PT. I don't think AMC is on the list. AMC has removed itself from the ability to squeeze, because whenever there's any price action whatsoever, Adam Aaron dumps a boatload more shares in the market, diluting the stock and paying off a smidge of their debt that is basically inconsequential, just a drop in the bucket. He's diluted 147 million shares, so about 147% of the total outstanding shares he's diluted since August to pay off less than 5% of that company's debt. The stock price is the lowest ever. People who were diehards are like, yeah, fuck this, and they're out. So they sold their shares. So the like diehard retail holders are dwindling. Institutional ownership is insane. This is the company that used to be owned like 85% were held by retail, and now 50% is held by institutions. So in hedge funds. So the voting power of the shareholders are disappearing. So I don't think they're part of it. In the race right now, I think MMTLP is in the lead to have a payout. BBYQ, we got to wait for that pump and dump case to be done. And I don't think we see anything interesting until that pump and dump case is done. I think we just twiddle our thumbs there. But it does look like MMTLP is looking to do something really, really mean. And they've been game theorizing for the last year about how can we absolutely destroy GTS and Concord Genuity and other short assholes who took us on. And I think that they've got a plan together, and they're basically they're showing their hand. They're like, look, we're gonna screw you over, shorts. So FINRA, look at our hand. We have 4 queens and an ace. So I think that's what they're doing. Michael Harrow, Houston, will you take your Canadian date to a hockey game and buy her Molson beer? A Molson is like East Coast. It's kokanee out in the West Coast, right? Crayon green ketchup chips are meh. The real Connect flavor is all dressed. I don't think I've had an all dressed, although I did see there was a Letterkenny about like who had the best potato chip, and I think all dressed won that. I've never had an all dressed, so maybe I'll have to try that. Try an all dressed chip. Just man, I know where 25% of Venezuelans are. Aaron telling they're in Colombia. A lot of them are in Colombia. A lot of them are in Miami. Just Mammy, Maduro was a damn bus driver, Houston. Yeah. Cali Bowl. Scores of highly qualified Venezuelan oil engineers fled to Colombia to work for the state oil company. A bunch of idiots left to operate PDVSA. Yeah. Like, the oil fields are failing miserably, and they need probably $10 or $20 billion of direct investment to redo their oil fields. Some really, really, really rare ecosystems are collapsing because of the oil spills right now, because there've been no maintenance for the last 10 years. And this is stuff that needs regular maintenance year in, year out. You need to be out there like fixing leaks, fixing pumps, fixing wells, and they're just rusting and falling apart. Oil heavily oxidizes metal, and you can get lots of fatigue happening, especially in a warm, humid environment like Venezuela. Everything's just going to start falling apart if you do not maintain your infrastructure. And so, yeah, they're having an environmental collapse on top of a collapse of their infrastructure. And for some reason, Maduro is like, let's invade Guyana. It's just the dumbest crap. Like, all you have to do is be like, hey, Chevron, come on in. We will give you a great deal. And then they'll fix everything. Master Miller, sup, Houston? Been a while. Been sitting on MMTLP just waiting. Welcome to the club. Twiddle those thumbs, my man. Andrew Stewart, Houston, I found another shiny shirt in the thrift store. Hot damn, high five, cat. High five. High five. Boop. There you go. All right. I gotta, people making fun of people who didn't get jokes. The hospital joke was really fresh. Macaron after party thoughts on the new Marcus Lemon X replies. I mean, it seems to be pointing towards that they're gonna have a baby store. So there you go. Julius Miami, Biden can federalize the Texas National Guard and Abbott can no longer lead them. That is true. You can be like, I'm calling you guys up. And I'm going to send you to Ramstein Air Base where you can go sit. Brandon Caldwell, Houston. Just checked my Fidelity tax statement. It shows all my shares BBBY have expired. Therefore, I realized a loss even though I didn't sell any. What should I do to fix this? Or should I leave it? What I'm planning, I am going to do an extension. So I'm going to extend my taxes to October. And hope something cool happens between now and then. Last year when Fidelity tried to make it look like I sold my shares for a profit of MMTLP, I talked to the CPA and they're like, we'll just say you didn't sell these things and not ignore that. We'll fill in different information in your tax form. And I was like, is that cool? He's like, yeah, that's fine. So that's what I did. So far, the IRS has not come after me to kill me. So that's what I did. And I talked to an expert, and it's what they recommended. So that's what I did after explaining the situation to me. I guess you can take the write-off on your taxes and hope that those shares are still held as reorg. But I'm just going to wait till October and deal with everything then. Noah says maybe everyone has shitty parents because smart people don't have kids. That's the idiocracy hypothesis there. Javier, hey, Houston, finally catch a live show. Crazy day. A student socked one of my colleagues, breaking his nose. Teacher hit the student back. We don't get paid enough for these circumstances. Holy shit. Where do you teach? I don't have to experience that teaching in college. I have a friend, she's a PhD in Italian literature. It's Italian language. And she's been teaching high school in like these inner city high schools, and they've been eating her alive. Like, she is too soft-spoken, really smart, really cerebral, and those kids spot the weakness and just been chewing her up and spitting her out. And I was like, dude, you do not have the mentality to teach at high school or middle school or anything above like 5th grade. You should either teach small children or teach college. Go to college where people will appreciate, like they're paying money to be in your class because they want to take your class. They want to be there. They aren't being forced to be there because of truancy laws. So man, I don't think if I teach high school, they'd eat me alive. I think I'm imposing enough and I keep them interested and I can flip shit at them better than they can flip shit at me. So I think I'd be okay if I teach that, but I don't want to. I want to teach people who want to be there. It's more fun and the pay is a little better at college level. But man, No, like it'd be hard for me not to turn it on if some kid punched me. I'd be like, you're smaller than me. It's on. So, and then everyone would go to prison or something. 101, Nas 101. I have said it a few times now, do not trust rock solid. One moment he is like, hey dude, homies for life. Next he ghosts you for 500s. You broke my heart, dude. Seriously. I have no idea what you're talking about there, 101 Nas 101, or who rock solid is. So, cool. Arias Shadow, Federal Reserve on Wednesday said bank term funding program will stop new loans on March 11th. Congress will keep some agencies and programs running until March 1st, 2024, operating through March 8th, 2024. Banks? Regional banks are absolutely toast. They've got $1.4 trillion in commercial real estate bonds that are going to mature over the next year, and no one's going to pay them. So those banks aren't going to have any money whatsoever. It's done. So I think the bank term financing program is canceling because they're already going to have to bail these banks out. So why give them loans and bail them out? I think that's what we're coming to. Is that the Federal Reserve's look at the books of these banks and they're like, you're screwed, you're screwed, you're screwed, you're screwed, you're screwed. You're all screwed. And you're all going to fail. The FDIC is going to swoop in. You're going to get your assets going to get gobbled up by the big banks, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. And pretty soon we'll have like one bank in the entire nation, and that'll be us, because that's what you do when everyone commits financial crime and has no plans for the future. Pay themselves their bonuses, check out, get a job in a new place, do it all over again, and they live in their mansions and drive their fancy cars and take their vacations, and while the world just crumbles around them because they suck at their jobs. ETX Kevin, they don't like being called white dwarfs. It's little stars. Well, all stars in the main sequence are dwarf stars. So our sun is a dwarf star. So, there you go. BBBY brand, the Class C shares are intended to be used for voting purposes and will then be vaporized from what I saw. So just a technical way to swing a vote the way they want. That's what I'd say about that. BOH can't wait for Biden to order Operation Sherman against Texas. The ghost of Sherman's like, let me put on my gloves here. Fix my hat. Watt DC, FTX, and Alameda also donated to political campaigns, with those stolen client funds. Make Citizen United versus FTC pretty interesting. Yeah, they donated a boatload of money with those stolen funds. And then the members of the board who got huge bonuses from that stolen money also donated to all sorts of campaigns. It's pretty nuts how much they donated. I think it was like between the board and the company itself, it was like around $200 million or something. Bonkers, just bonkers how much money got thrown around. Yeah. And the problem is that the extradition agreement with the Bahamians meant they cannot charge SBF with campaign finance fraud. So, yeah. Dustin Wright, I don't think I've listened to someone so smart actively be such a moron. I love it when they say things. Do you have a particular criticism at all? Like, they always like, Houston, you're so smart, but you're so dumb on this one thing. And then they never actually point out where my logic is wrong on that one thing. They just kind of throw a really generic, connotative, vague thing out there and never produce an actual criticism. And they do it all the time in the chat. Or not in the chat, in the comments under the videos. They're like, you're so wrong, bud. I'm like, dude, it's a 2-hour video. I covered 55 different topics. Please be specific, and I will gladly address whatever your concerns are. And they never do. So, by all means, Dustin, bring it. Bring the criticism. Point it out. You got multiple characters you can use to point out where I'm being a moron. I would love to see where I'm being a moron. All right. Philip Wang, Houston. What's your thought on the Spirit airline versus JetBlue this Sunday? If the deal doesn't go through, Spirit might be in trouble, but Spirit seems unfazed. JetBlue wants Spirit, and they had a set price they're going to try and get it for. Basically, antitrust people are like, no more airline combinations. Why Spirit's in trouble? I have no idea. They don't have any costs. If you've ever flown Spirit, I'm sorry. But yeah, they just, what are their costs? They don't really bother with flight attendants much beyond that they exist. They've got brand new planes that don't have any maintenance problems. They're a budget airline. They pack as many people as they can in there. They do short route flights. Their planes are always chock full. So financially, I don't know how they're hurting unless they took out way more loans than they ever planned on, doing stock buybacks. I don't know. JetBlue, very successful airline. Most legroom at any coach airline in existence, actually. But we've been combining too many airlines in this country. You know, we used to have like 50 major airlines. Now we've got 4 and Alaska and Southwest. And that's basically it. But we had a whole bunch of small budget airlines. I don't know what they're going to do. But because of the price that JetBlue is willing to buy Spirit for, their stock price went woohoo. But if they really aren't allowed to do it, if they're like, nope, can't buy it, then I think there's going to be a big old drop in the price of Spirit. Yeah, that's coming. All right, trying to get through here. What DC FTX and Alameda donated to Biden? Yes, but the COO donated like $40 million to Republicans. So they were covering both their bases there. They're playing both sides on that one for sure. William Jones, Steve Kirch is an open invitation for debate on vaccine efficacy with numbers ranging from $100,000 to $2 million. He's available on Twitter to engage, set up public debate, easy money. He's also being sued because people absolutely destroyed him in public debates and he refused to pay out. So, yeah, there's that too. Steve Kirch is a fucking moron. I'll tell that right now, William. I know I swore. I know you didn't want me to swear, but he is a giant human piece of garbage, and he doesn't know shit about shit. He's a very terrible human being, and I could offer $1 million in a debate, and when someone absolutely clowns me and destroys me, refuse to pay out. And that's what Steve Kirch has been doing. He's been getting absolutely walloped by experts in the field time and time again, and then refuses to pay out. So yeah, I mean, He can strut all over the table, knock the pieces off, and declare victory, but that's not him actually doing anything. I mean, we can do a vaccine rant. We can do a vaccine rant right now. How about why not? Why not do a little vaccine rant? Because so far, excess deaths in America are around 7 million people. We know that there's 1.5 million who have died directly because of COVID, but excess deaths are now around 7 million people. And if we look at the excess deaths compared to party, right? Excess deaths for Democrats went up really high the first part of COVID because it was major cities, and major cities are usually Democratic, that were being affected. And then, then it kind of was even between Democrats and Republicans. And then when the vaccines came out, excess deaths no longer were up for Democrats, but were up 15% for Republicans because they weren't getting vaccinated, and have remained above Democrats for the last 3 years. So, and you look globally, places where vaccine was readily available, excess deaths dropped, and places where vaccination wasn't happening because they were poor or because they had lots of anti-vax, large part of the population, deaths plummeted. Sorry, that skyrocketed. Excess deaths were through the roof. At one point, some of the anti-vax people were pointing out, well, look at like Congo and Eritrea. They don't have very many COVID deaths. They also were poor and didn't have COVID tests. So some NGOs went to the morgues in these places and they tested the blood of people who had died, and 30% of the dead had COVID in these countries, meaning excess deaths were at least 30% for the population. It's just because they didn't have ways of testing people who were dying and just dropping dead. So yeah, no, get vaccinated, dude. Just get vaccinated. It will save your life, save you trouble. People are like, whoa, myocarditis. Well, you're more likely to get myocarditis from a COVID infection than you are from a vaccination. And the myocarditis that happens is more likely to happen in men under 18 than anybody else. And I'm sure you're over 18 at this point. And even then, when comparing the numbers of myocarditis instances in men under 18, those instances are unchanged from pre-COVID. Myocarditis still happened at the same exact rate in men under 18 after you got vaccinated as it did for when COVID never existed, because they were already had a higher rate incidence of myocarditis to begin with. On top of that, right? Pre-vaccination, myocarditis was happening in 30% of NCAA athletes when they got infected with COVID. These are the buffest, strongest people on earth, the most athletic, in-health folks you can possibly name. They're young, they're buff, they're super healthy, have incredible diets, and 30% of the unvaccinated NCAA athletes had gotten myocarditis after an infection. Okay, so what does that tell you? Get vaccinated. It's that easy. Boop, done. It's free. Yeah, you're out like 5 minutes of your afternoon. It's no big deal whatsoever. So just get the poke in the arm, man. It's not that hard. And Steve Kirsch can be like, no, don't get vaccinated, whatever. But Steve Kirsch's entire following is dying from a preventable illness, or getting their brains absolutely scrambled by a virus that's breaking the blood-brain barrier and just eating away at their neurons. And then people are like, well, you just get infected and then you don't get infected again. Okay, and then you have like the 3% chance of dying from it. Cool. And then you can get your blood clots, and then you can get your organ failure, renal failure, liver failure, heart failure, your lungs shredded by being infected, losing IQ points because it breaks the blood-brain barrier, your vision getting worse. Like, just you get the vaccination, it never leaves the upper respiratory system, and you're good to go. Done. Pop, pop, pop. All over with. So, the number of anti-vax papers and COVID isn't real papers that have been retracted are insane. Let's go to COVID retractions. Retraction watch. Here we go. All right. Retraction rocks. So these retracted coronavirus 19 papers. And most of them are anti-vax. I don't want to subscribe. I want you to go away. Okay. So we have 5G technology. Oh yeah, there we go. Ranging all the way down. How many do we have now that have been published? And then the journals had to be like, oh yeah, these people made up all their data. And absolutely dragged by peer review. COVID vaccine acceptance hesitancy of the general population, novel vaccination, fake news, suicide after vaccination. What other ones we have? Mathematical estimation, delay of deaths, relation to the positive rates. These are all papers that were published, and then after peer review, figured out that they made up their data. Right? They just made it up. Couldn't be verified in any way, shape, or form. We're at 200, 170, 176. A lot of like when I would get in vaccine debates with people on Twitter, they'd send me one of these papers, and then I would point out the peer review where they failed miserably and they just made shit up. But here are 212 papers, 219, 220 papers. Even letters to the editor are getting removed for making shit up. More mortality in pregnant patients. mRNA vaccines prevent disease, reported allergic reactions. So they were making up allergic reaction data. When they did the FDA trials, allergic reactions were like 1 in 400,000. So you're fine. What else we got here? Men's health, personal respirators, population. 280 papers now have been retracted that mostly are anti-COVID existing or anti-vaccine. Safety and efficacy of favipiravir versus hydroxychloroquine. So hydroxychloroquine. These folks, oh my God, these guys are the dumbest people in the entire world. So we're at 2021 here. Like, oh my God, no, your pool cleaner isn't going to help you out. Spontaneous abortions from the vaccines, they never happened. Thrombus. So this is data saying that talking about patients and thrombosis that happens. Anti-vaccine information, behavioral analysis. So they're talking about like who is anti-vaccine and why. And that paper right there, I remember that one. That one was saying that no, it wasn't from Russians. And then it turns out it was a whole bunch of Russian troll farms that were doing it all. Oh yeah, this one was effective COVID-19 vaccination in this one province in Iran, and then it turns out they just made up the data. That was a good one. But yeah, we're at 350 papers now, all retracted. How many? What is the total? About 400? 393 at the moment. So 393 papers. Most of them are anti-vaccine, have been completely removed. If you go to what was that group? It was Concerned Doctors COVID-19. What was that website? Mayo Clinic, Concerned Physicians. What was that website called? They were trying to sell everyone ivermectin. Ivermectin Concerned Doctors C19. What was it called? American Medical Association. Now I'm just getting like the good doctors and not that website everyone would send me to. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? What was it called? It was like C19 or something. COVID-19 Cancer Consortium? No, that's not what I wanted. What was the name of that stupid website? Oh my gosh. It's I love it because they're like legalese is like get vaccinated, don't take ivermectin. Doctors who support ivermectin C19. Stat News, American Medical Association. Google's just giving me like legit things at the top because I don't think they want those people in there anymore. What were they called? Man, they only have these legit things here. Medscape. FLCC Alliance, that's who it was. Yes. They're like hit number 1 bajillion. So, FLCC Alliance. These are the folks, these are the doctors who are like, don't get vaccinated, take COVID-19. And you go to their about section. And is it terms and conditions? Might be terms and conditions. Come on. Okay. COVID-19criticalcare.com, Frontline, COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, FCCC, blah, 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 blah. Nature of content, website, educational, informational nature, provides information, blah, blah, blah. Professionals, licensure, and other credentials, healing arts, or site clinical trials, other medical literature. They are limited to providing information, education, not clinical service. Where is prohibited conduct, communications, intellectual property? Where is the one that third-party website, testimonials, endorsements? We process most endorsements for informational purposes only. We do not claim that anyone will experience the same similar results as mentioned in these writings or videos, because we're making it up. Nor do we claim that a significant number of consumers may obtain similar results. Any testimonial real-world experiences presented on this website are for purposes of illustration only. Testimonies, endorsements, examples, photos represent the views of one individual and the results they have personally achieved, and are comments from individuals who can speak character, blah, blah, blah. But they're saying like, oh yeah, Joe Blow got cured by ivermectin, and then what? No credentialing. People have claims negligent credentialing, negligence practitioner. Okay, there's somewhere in here where it's like, get vaccinated. We have no proof that ivermectin works. That's my favorite part. Doctor supplement notice. All right, information guaranteed, warranties, website, medical advice. COVID-19 is a serious disease whose outcome depends on numerous factors, including pre-existing conditions, time of your treatment. No guarantees can be made. Patients will experience a benefit, not suffer adverse effects. The information provided through this website pertaining to our health or wellness, track precautions, just website. Do not disregard medical advice or delay seeking medical advice because of information you've read in this website. No recommendations are being made for you to start, change, discontinue treatment provided qualified health professional. If you suspect you have a medical health problem, contact qualified health person. If you're experiencing medical emergency, dial 911. Like basically talk to doctors. Many physicians. All right, where are you? Where are you? Class action waiver. So use this website. You're agreeing to, you're not going to sue them. Personal information now, collect information, data server. Nope. I don't want that stuff. I don't care about data. I don't care about those things. I care about oh, dang it. No. Need to go terms and conditions. That's where I was. Where's the critical care one? We'll try this one. Bam, bam. Okay. Oops. No. About. Oh, it's the same one. It's all the same now. Let's go Control F. Mention vaccine in there anymore? Vaccination. Oh, they don't put, oops, I can't spell vaccination. No, they don't have that in there either. They took it out. Used to be get vaccinated. We can't prove anything but ivermectin. What about if did they even mention ivermectin in here anymore? Control F, ivermectin. Oh, here we go. Status recommendations. FLCC's COVID-19 protocols have been developed by experienced physicians treating COVID-19 patients. At this time, they have not been adopted as medical consensus. While clinical experience and research to date are promising, recommendations may be subject to controversy and differences of opinion among medical authorities. Public health agencies and regulatory bodies have taken positions that are contrary to the views expressed in this website. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has not approved ivermectin specifically for COVID-19 or other repurposed medications in the FLCC treatment protocol suggested treatment. Such as hydroxychloroquine, fluvamexine, and such medications are repurposed drugs and recommended for uses other than their FDA originally approved uses. This is common practice in medicine known as off-label use. Okay. Where's their for a while they had a thing on their research because there's like our main papers have all been retracted. They had a whole thing about that too. Somebody must have gone back over this thing. Must have hired a real lawyer. Anywho, yeah, ivermectin's bullshit. Hydroxychloroquine is bullshit. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask when it's appropriate. Do stuff like that. Anyway, we'll pass the 2 hour mark, Kitty. I still have a voice. We can go for a little while longer. I don't have to leave for a little bit. Robert Armstrong's from Northern Ontario. He's here. What, Tyler got Blue Sky code? Fantastic. Oh, Low B. Houston got my mug arrived. I have yet to open it after dinner, but my kids are fighting over it already. The others, I finally got everything sent out because I wasn't able to leave for the post office, and I got everything sent out. I know Julio got his shirts. You got your mug. I haven't heard from... it might take a while for some international ones Some stuff got sent to Canada, some stuff got sent to Belgium because Belgian whale won the ornament, and Canada was, who got stuff from Canada? Was that the sparkly shirt? I've been the sparkly shirt, and then Wrong Conclusions in Palm Beach or something. So he may have gotten his by now. He won both calendars and I think coasters as well. So that's what you get for being the big donor, and you get to pick the doohickey. All right. Sing us a bar from Mother Love Bone. Star Dog Champion. Ooh, Alex V's got some fun stuff. Houston is more libtarded than most. Don't drink beer, but take experimental vaccine. Viterbo actually gives you heart conditions. Also, he's complaining about how we respond to the virus. Yeah, he's totally cool with millions of unskilled, uneducated, illegal immigrants flooding our border, likely carrying diseases. Well, that right there, you're just using now literal Nazi language. When the Nazis wanted to shut down the border, they complained is because people were bringing diseases into the country. The diseases, COVID did not come from border crossings, illegal border crossings. COVID came from Americans who had been in Wuhan, who brought the virus back with them. It was from Americans. That is where it's from. So are we going to close the border to Americans who travel abroad there, Alex? And you fucking Nazi? Are that what we're going to do? Does that make sense? No, COVID and other zoonotic viruses are not coming from people fleeing poor conditions that we established in Central and South America. They're coming from human beings encroaching into virgin forests and coming in close contact with wild animals that carry viruses that have yet had the chance to transfer from wild animal into humans. That's what a zoonotic virus is. So like when diseases first really spread across the globe was when we started domesticating animals. When we started domesticating horses and cows and sheep and goats and chickens, it was our close proximity with these animals that allowed zoonotic transmission of viruses. It wasn't from poor people leaving horrible situations in nations that we fucked up with our terrible foreign policy there, Alex. So yeah. Screw you racist piece of crap. So, peace. Enroll at Houston. I want to buy my kid an inexpensive used car. What's the most important thing to look for? Low mileage, clean Carfax, make, model, would like to buy with cash. I seldom buy reasonable cars. I usually buy rare cars with lots of problems. But the times I have to get reasonable cars, like I owned a 80 Honda Accord back in the day, an 88 Acura Legend Coupe, I had an 88 Toyota Camry, Mazda MPV. That car was awesome. But yeah, low mileage is great. Carfax is great. I would look for rust, depending on where you are. If things are like rusting out, West Coast cars, better than any other cars because we don't use salt on our roads here, so the cars don't rust out like they do elsewhere. And we don't have the humidity of like Florida or Hawaii that causes cars to rust. I mean, look at long-term reports like Consumer Reports or long-term tests that auto magazines do, because they'll tell you like what problems are happening in these vehicles. Consumer Reports is really great for like problems per 100 vehicles. But there's a little bias now towards tech-laden cars, or bias against tech-laden cars, because if you've got lots of screens and crap, you know how to work it, a lot of problems get reported, like I can't make the air conditioning turn on because the driver doesn't know how to make the air conditioning turn on. So that gets reported as a problem. I like mechanical cars more than modern, super electric, everything cars. Look for the traditional vehicles that last a long time. If you want your kid just to have something that drives and is reliable and gets good gas mileage, Toyota, Honda, right? Can't go wrong with those. You can find an older like used Lexus or something for pretty cheap, and they'll high build quality. They'll last a long time, cheap to insure, stuff like that. And buying with cash is great. Carfax is good. Carfax doesn't always tell you everything because sometimes someone gets an offender bender and they just fix it themselves and never report that, like, you know, the frame damage is, or something. But it's good. It's good to have. What else to look for? How well someone babied the car. Because a lot of problems you have with finding a Toyota or Honda is that some ricer may have taken the car and just beat the hell out of it by doing like street takeovers and street racing. And you're like, oh, it's a normal car. And you find out that yeah, it has 40,000 miles, but those 40,000 miles were all at 9,000 RPMs. So yeah, that was, yeah. BBBY 420. 8-Ball Deluxe was the greatest pinball machine ever. I don't know if I've ever played that particular pinball machine. Yep. Newsmax in the chat. Fred Jones, you know what? I think your mother's favorite cock needs to go away. I'm going to hide user on this channel. You seem like you're someone from the Meltdowners page. You don't need to be here. Fred Jones, Houston, do you believe anyone around the world should have the right to be U.S. president? No. American citizens who are natural born have the right to be president here. Liberty Bibbity, Met halted 10 minutes before end of after hours. Interesting. Trading is halted pending release of news. That's probably because they need to release their 8K for the horrible things they're doing. I'm at the end here. I'm at 2 hours in. Avocados is here. Ava, you made just in time for me to finish a rant. All right. Fine print on the site is ridiculous. Yes. Okay. I got 1.5 rants in there. Did we do it? Did we get there? And like 3 people got banned in the chat. So that's a great start for the weekend. I'll try maybe Sunday again to do some GeoGuessr on Twitch. And Kitty Cat, anything to add? Just being a fat ball of fur? No? All right. I'll bid you guys adieu. Have a great weekend. And get to it. More power to you. Yeah. Yeah. We'll do the other daytime intro. Shaboink.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes, I am. I'm going to take you with me. Because you are a fat little guy. Yes, you are. Your little belly. Yeah. Oh, little fat guy. Little fat guy. You're such a little fatty. Yes, you are. You're such a chunk. Yeah. Oh, my little dude. Oh, she's such a little round pound and mound right here. Yeah. You're all 15 pounds of you.